Today we'll take a look at each of Kiss's studio albums and see who was the most valuable player. That mostly means the songwriting, but we're also considering vocal and instrumental performances as well. Enjoy!
All Kiss Ray, giving you something to watch while you pray for Sam Loomis to return.
The debut album is very collaborative, with some great singing from Peter, and Ace bringing in the incredible Cold Gin. And of course Gene brings Juice and Nothing to Lose to the table. But Paul wrote or co-wrote 6 of the 9 original songs, so he's the clear MVP. Hotter Than Hell is a tough one. I think this is Peter's best album in terms of his drumming. Ace's 2 super heavy songs, Parasite and Strange Ways, are fantastic. Paul's songs are solid as always, but I think they are relatively weaker on this album. I'm going to give it to Gene for the vocals on Let Me Go Rock and Roll, and the awesomely creepy duo of Watchin' You and Goin' Blind. Dressed to Kill could go to Gene just for She, which is awesome. Getaway isn't bad but is probably Ace's least interesting Kiss song. I think Paul gets the nod here for some better songwriting on some of the lesser known songs like Anything for My Baby and Love Her All I Can. On Destroyer, Great Expectations really hurts Gene's case. MVP could easily go to Peter for writing and singing one of Kiss's biggest hits ever. Apart from Beth, Paul wrote most of the hits here in Detroit Rock City, Do You Love Me, King of the Nighttime World, and even Gene's signature song, God of Thunder. But the real MVP is the guy who co-wrote 7 of the 9 songs, dramatically shaping what this album ended up being. Although he had some great solos, Ace is mostly absent here. Gene's songs are kinda goofy on this one, and there's no Evil Gene song. Peter sings Hard Luck Woman perfectly. But this album is all about Paul, who shines here with pure rock and roll swagger on Makin' Love, Take Me, and I Want You. Love Gun is the most team effort album with everybody writing, playing and singing. Gene's songs are great and Almost Human is super underrated. Paul has his usual gems in I Stole Your Love and Love Gun. But Ace's lead vocal debut is really something special. It's close, but I'm going to rank it like this. For the studio tracks on Alive 2, you could make a case for Ace because Rocket Ride is amazing, but it's mostly Bob Kulick on the other tracks. Gene has 2 originals on there, but All American Man is also super badass. Obviously Peter drops off on Dynasty, only playing on his 1 song. Paul writes the hits on this one, especially the worldwide smash rock disco hit. But this is the album where Ace starts to really bring it, contributing more songs than Gene and absolutely killing it on the cover of the Rolling Stones' 2000 Man. Unmasked is a weird one. Paul has some catchy pop songs, but they're also toothless. Gene is singing about weird stuff like accents in Saint-Tropez. It's really Ace's trio of songs that save this album. Oh, and the drumming is fantastic. Paul has described his singing on Some of the Elder as tragic. I wouldn't go that far, but this isn't his best work. Eric could take it for Under the Rose, which is a high point of the album. Gene has a co-write on that song as well as writing I and Only You, which are both really good. But we can't overlook what might be Ace's best solo on Dark Light. The 4 songs on Killers are all Paul songs, so he obviously takes first here. And runner-up has to go to the man responsible for the lead guitar work. Creatures is weird in that there's no one consistent lead guitarist. Paul's songs are really good, but I think Gene's songs are better. It's hard to argue with War Machine and I Love It Loud. But let's be honest, this album is all about the drums. While we do a zoom in on J.J. Jackson's considerably more impressive tongue, will you consider taking this time to help this channel by subscribing? You'll never be without a semi-arbitrary Kiss Top 10 list ever again. Thanks. No doubt about the MVP on Lick It Up, the guy who wrote 8 songs on the album. But for runner-up is tough. The Vinnie and Paul songs are all amazing, but I think Not for the Innocent and Young and Wasted are going to give Gene the edge. On Animalize, Gene was too busy trying to get Ramsey to give him the templates, so his songs really suffer. It was up to Paul to carry the album. Mark's guitar work is way too wanky for me. That leaves Paul and Eric. Gene is still checked out on this one because he was doing this. Paul once again carries the album by writing all the hits. I'll give number 2 to Bruce, if for nothing else than the beautiful solo on Tears Are Falling. The songs on this album just feel like Kiss trying to be something they're not. I know Paul wrote most of the songs and all the singles, but, screw it, I'm giving it to these guys for the awesome intro to No No No. Associating the 2 new songs on this album with the word valuable just seems wrong. But let's go with Ugh. This album. I'd say the real MVP here is the eject button on the CD player. However, we need to give Eric his dues for Little Caesar, and Paul for writing a huge hit ballad. Gene is finally back and all his songs on this album are absolute bangers. Unholy is one of Kiss's best songs, but even Gene's filler tracks like Paralyzed and Thou Shalt Not are fantastic. I think Paul's songs are much weaker by comparison, and Bruce's solos on this album are insane. This album is Kiss trying to be all grungy and Paul seems completely out of place here. Having one of rock's best frontmen singing, I Can't Stand Myself Anymore, just does not work. I think the Gene songs here are great. I really like Hate and Childhood's End. But the real star is the guy who makes his lead vocal debut and is the co-writer of 9 out of 12 songs. Psycho Circus is a weird one as well. Peter and Ace are barely on it. I like Psycho Circus, but Paul loses points for writing I Finally Found My Way. Within is kinda cool. So I guess we'll go with this ranking. For completeness sake, we'll do Sonic Boom and Monster. It's mostly Paul and some Gene. Frankly, I'm shocked you made it to the end of this video. That's it. The MVP on all of Kiss's studio albums. Hope you enjoyed this list. If you disagree, let's hear it below. Bye for now.